Hey everyone, welcome back to Right Media Group Chronicles, the podcast where we dive into the stories behind successful agencies, the wins, the lessons, and everything in between. Today, I am joined by David Rosenberg, co-founder and chief comedy officer at Brand Up Comedy. David, great to have you on the show.
Great to be here. Thanks for having me.
So I saw that you went from literally performing stand-up comedy on stage to now running a creative agency. So how did that shift even happen?
It's very strange. Maybe it's not that strange. I think it's strange. No, to your point, I was performing stand-up in New York City. That's why I moved here. And I came off stage and someone had said to me, like, "You're really funny. Would you like to write for us?" And so that's really how it started. I ended up working at a small agency as a copywriter. And then was like, oh, this is fun. Like, this is kind of like doing stand-up because I'm just writing. And then cut to 15 years later, I'm like, oh, wow, I'm still in advertising. And then from there, really just, I think for me, advertising, I'd sort of like hit a point where I was like, okay, what's next? I didn't really want to go to another sort of agency. I was an executive creative director. I was like, what do I want to do? Right? It's a tough question to ask. And
Yes.
yeah, the answer was like, well, what do I love? I was like, well, I love making people laugh and I love doing stand up, but I don't want to do stand up again, but I know how to work in advertising. And so that's how Brand Up Comedy was formed.
Wow.
My business partner owns a comedy club here in New York City. We're New York based. And we have about 500 comedians that we work with to sort of like develop content for brands. So it's still sort of advertising, but we don't have creatives per se. We have comedians.
It's a good sort of a mix of the two that you brought into
That's
one.
it. Yeah.
What I'm sort of curious about, and I'm sure the audience is as well, how exactly does the agency work then? So it's Brand Up Comedy. What is the
Yeah.
behind the scenes really?
So generally the way it works with us is we either reach out to brands that we really love and admire, or brands come to us because they understand the power of humor, and they want to try it. Right? They're seeing comedians in their feeds. They're following comedians. A lot of them are going to see comedy, and I think for us, a lot of times it's a CMO or a marketing director, or sometimes a founder who will say like, "Hey, I want to talk to you because what you're doing sounds really interesting or funny, or I want to hear more about it." S- Generally when we tell them what we're up to, they're like, cool, we'd love to try something. So that's really how it starts. So the process is, we'll get like a brief, or they'll say like, I've been thinking about this. I don't know what to do with it. And we'll come back and we'll say like, here's a bunch of ideas and here's a bunch of comedians we think are the right ones to help bring it to life. And then we develop the ideas with the comedians. We produce them. We shoot them. We produce them. We edit them. We do everything from beginning to end and deliver content. And that's literally been everything from like Instagram feed, like Instagram content, to some TVCs.
So as I understand, is there a little bit of production included as well
Yeah,
in there?
absolutely. Yeah. So we
Interesting.
love to do the production as well because, look, I think one of the things that we talk about like is ad funny versus real funny. And I think people sort of understand what I mean by that, right? Ad funny is like, well, that's funny. You're not really laughing at it, and like, oh, that's cute. But I think for us, real funny is you're actually laughing. And
You're
so we
chuckling,
try.
yeah.
Yeah. And so unless we work with people who understand how to do that and how to produce that and how to edit that and create that, then for us, it kind of falls apart. So yeah, we work with obviously comedians, but we also work with shooters and editors who not only have edited like comedy sketches, but comedy specials and know how to shoot comedians and really like get the best out of them. So there's a lot of laughing.
Yeah, I mean, there's some of the best campaigns for like really famous brands have happened through comedy. It's like there was this razor blade company and they made this ad and it was like a 5 minutes ad. It was
It
really
was
long.
Dollar Shave Club.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
But it's just like you keep watching it and you're just chuckling along the way.
Yeah.
And it's like comedy is such a good way and lighthearted to bring into ads. Do you have any campaigns that maybe you recently done that you want to share?
Yeah. Wow, we just did last year. So obviously it's like Jan 16th, and we're starting to talk
Yeah,
about
of
what
course.
this year is going to be and that sort of thing. So we did a man on the street campaign for a men's fashion brand. Um, and we basically took, and the brand is like very like flashy, right? It's like green suit, pinstripe. We took a comedian on the street and really just had him try to get compliments. So it's like running around, how do I look? What do you think I look like? And that was the premise of the thing. And obviously in New York, you're getting like really unique people. And I think for them, it was very successful because typically what they had done is like just fashion shoots, like, right? Like guy standing at a bar with his like this or like walking down the street, but not really getting to the DNA of what made them special. And what made them special was what the comedian was able to pull out of the audience, out of the people on the street. Like, what do you think about this? What do you think about this? And so you're getting like real time kind of feedback. So that's one. No surprise, we did some work for a weed brand,
Nice.
and that content. So they came to us with kind of a thought like, do they asked like, do you know any mimes? Because we have like we have this kind of weird idea, and we want to use a mime. Like, interestingly enough, I do know somebody who's a mime, like a professional mime. And so we worked collaboratively with them, and that campaign that we did with them was literally a mime walking into a weed shop buying marijuana, but not speaking. I think organically for them, it did over like 2 to 3 million views, like all the pieces of content,
Wow.
and that
Wow,
was just
that's
organic,
crazy.
right?
Yeah, yeah.
So it's really run the gamut, like from fashion to food. There's a car wash brand that we've worked with. We're talking to some sort of like Fortune 100, Fortune 500 brands this year that are very interested in like the power of humor. So, and then there's the typical brands, right? Like your Dude Wipes and Blue Chew, like some of those brands that really play in humor, we've worked with as well. So yeah, it's been
Very
kind of a wild
interesting.
ride.
Very
Yeah.
interesting industry. My question to you is, do you think there's an industry out there that wouldn't be positioned great with comedy, in
I
your
don't
opinion?
actually. Yeah, I don't. So when we were first starting out, one of the first people that we talked to was a guy that owned a yoga, like chain of yoga studios. And we had reached out. We were like, let's talk to this guy. And we reached out, and he was like, yeah, I'll take the call. And he said, I don't. Well, I'm trying to remember the exact quote. He's like, well, what's funny about yoga? And I was like everything.
There's a lot. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I've
like
seen.
literally everything. And so if you think about it from a comedy perspective, if you're a good comic and you really know what you're doing, you can talk about anything. If you're really smart, there's nothing that's off limits. So
Yeah.
I think we haven't been able to find the brand yet that like there's nothing funny about. Or
I
at least,
challenge. Can I challenge you a little bit?
please,
Just
hopefully I can
it's
tell
just
you what's
something
funny
that
about it.
popped into my mind, and I
Yeah,
was
yeah,
like, you can probably make it funny, but it would be awkward. So the industry is, for example, like funeral industries.
sure.
I think
I
that would
think
be awkward.
I think it's awkward, but so I think funny is interesting because like there's still humor. There's still humor to be had. And
Yeah,
by the way,
yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah,
by the
it's
way,
opening my horizons.
yeah, I don't know that any funeral director is going to come with us and to come to us and say like, "Hey, make us the most fun funeral parlor around." I mean, from our perspective, like absolutely we could make it funny, but I don't know that they would want us to do that, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, no, it does, it does. But yeah,
Right.
like you're right. That can be. I'm already like imagining that can be
Yeah.
quite a few things done there.
It can be fantastic. Like I think
Yeah.
so now I want to pitch. Now I think I'm going to ask our new business people to pitch funeral parlors and see if we can get one.
Tell me how it goes, please.
Yeah, 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 for sure. I'll give you a
um,
percentage if we can close the deal.
because it's like you stand out in that industry as well, and let's be honest, it's sort of like a sad sort of subject that family members even go through. But I'm sure there's ways to make it lighthearted.
Sure. Look, I think here's the thing. So let's stay on funerals and death. Like let's have fun. Let's have fun with funerals and death for a minute.
Okay.
So, what is it when you're thinking about when I'm thinking about going to a funeral home, and I haven't, but when I'm thinking about like, okay, I've got to have a funeral, I'm going to go to the one that feels the most familiar, or at least like family members have been there. And I think funeral parlors like generation, generation, generation. So, you know, there's definitely something about maybe it's not laugh out loud, snap your knee, slap your knee funny, but there's something about being comfortable going
Mm,
to a place like that.
mm.
So maybe like meeting the people, talking about them, what the experience is like, but doing it in a way that's not so, because like at some point, everything is just, they're all sad.
Yeah, yeah, it
Every single
becomes
one of them
really
is sad.
serious real quick, yeah.
Yeah. By the way, I don't know that a lot of funeral parlors do make content. I have to look and see if they do. Because like, what
Mhm.
content would you make?
Yeah.
Or maybe you would.
Let's not get into it, it can get really shady here.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like, but I do think that, look, from our perspective, anything can be funny. It's really, do you find the brand that understands that and is comfortable with that?
Mhm, mhm. Yeah, getting out of their comfort zone and
Yeah,
seeing
that's it.
seeing testing around, yeah, for sure. So, what would you say your day-to-day looks like in brand up comedy? What is it that you focus on specifically?
So, we have every day we're talking to new clients, potential clients that are very interested in what we're doing. I think the thing that people don't know, and it certainly is somebody who owns a business now and owns an agency, I didn't know before, was the amount of conversations and meetings that you have to have. You're asking somebody to be super comfortable with you and what you do. B, they have to love your ideas. C, they have to have the budgets. D, right? Like there's so much to be had before you get into execution. So the majority of my day is spent like, yeah, talking to people, talking to brands, talking to potential consumers. We're
Yeah.
getting ready for, or potential customers. We're getting ready for production. So yesterday was like, had a bunch of meetings in the morning, and then had to talk to a bunch of comedians to see like what their availability was, and like talk to a director to see what his availability is. So, we're still at that phase where we kind of do everything. There's three of us, myself from a creative, chief comedy officers from a creative perspective, my partner Donnie, who owns the club, who really has access to all the comedians, and then um, a guy named Joe Kaplan, who is our sort of like new business lead, but also like strategic advisor. So Joe was a CMO for multi-million-dollar companies and startups and sort of done all that. So really helping us scale.
I mean, it's so right what you said. I mean, I think you mentioned 4 steps in, exactly, like, where each client stands. Even within the same industry, you can have people at businesses in different journeys. So it's like, are they even aware of what you do? Have they even thought about it? Do you need to educate them? There's just so much involved that, unfortunately, if you don't start a business, you won't know.
That's right. I mean, and I think for us, like the first year out, people were very interested just in terms of like oh, that's it. That's cool. What do you guys, let's talk about it. Let's figure like that's cool. That sounds like a fun idea. Year two, I think, I don't, from a business perspective, I think people were very cautious about spending money, like every bit of media, every bit of production money. There wasn't a lot to play with. I think where we are now, and it's in terms of like where the world is going, at least of what I've read, is like experiences are kind of real world things. So like a lot of companies that are doing experiences and like, go have a private chef or go out to this thing, and, anything that where you're getting off of your phone and going into the real world. And I think comedy has having a massive moment right now. And so as people are starting to see like, okay, comedy plus experiences plus humor plus, this year has started off really well for us in terms of a lot of clients want to talk to us because they're sort of like, and even from a human perspective, like last year wasn't a great year cosmically. I think people just kind of want to laugh now. So
Yeah, I just
hopefully,
wanna get it over and done with.
yeah, hopefully you know, they stay with that because we believe that there's a lot of power in that.
So we touch point on you being in industry for around 20 years. So specifically for creative and advertising world right now, what have you seen change the most?
I mean, y- you know, all you have to do is look at LinkedIn and see the amount of people that I know and people I respect and that are struggling, like out of work, trying to find right. There's so many efficiencies happening. everybody's freaked out by AI, whatever that means, right? Like, I think that's sort of what's happening is I think the at least from an advertising perspective, the industry is like struggling to figure out what it wants to be. Really trying to figure out like what is the next thing? What is the thing that's going to get people's attention? And I think luckily for us, while they're doing that, we're just trying to make people laugh.
Mhm, mhm. Yeah, I was gonna say, I mean, the world's already such an awful place sometimes. I mean, there's war going on, and there's a lot of like global warming and everything. It's just, and it's nice that you can bring positivity, even if it's just 5 seconds out of their
That's it.
day that makes them like chuckle. It
Yeah,
really does lighten up the mood.
that's it. We try.
In terms of agency, what would you say is working really well right now? I mean, you mentioned obviously coming to this era with more comedy aware
Yeah.
businesses. So, is there anything else that you think is going really well?
I mean, so at least for us, what's going really well is there is no shortage of comedians.
Mhm.
There's
Okay.
so many that we can pick from and pull from. And, the ones I meet new ones every single day that are like have an amazing perspective on the world. Or, I'm seeing comics that 2 years ago were playing a small club and now they're opening now they're playing Madison Square Garden. So like, I think access right now to different perspectives has been awesome. Like that's where I'm seeing it. And again, not to sort of like crap on agencies, but and from an ad agency perspective, there's a certain amount of creatives, right? You have a finite amount of creatives. Whereas for us, like I have endless amounts of people that I can pull from. And so we sort of can match make a comedian with a brand and make content that makes sense. And so yeah, it's working really well in terms of there's no shortage of people that are that are, making a living doing comedy.
Yeah. So much potential with especially with the comedians that you have at your, connections and networking. By the way, do you have a favorite comedian yourself that someone you look up to?
I mean, I have a lot of favorite comedians.
Oh, you do.
It
Anyone
changes
at
every
the top?
day. What's that?
Is there anyone that's at the top?
I think working right now, I mean, I do love I think Shane Gillis is amazing. And he's like, 2 years ago, nobody knew who he was. 3 years ago, nobody knew who he was. And he's sort of crushing right now. And there's also a comic that I really love, a guy named Rory Scoville, who is like, I think if you're a comedian, you know who he is. I think there's a lot of audience. I don't think he's as big, but I love what he's doing. I just like people that are like he's very silly.
Yeah, okay.
So
I'll
I really
I'll
love that.
definitely check them out. I mean, I do
Yeah.
love a good laugh as well
How
once
about
in a
you?
while. I mean, for me, mostly it's sort of the popular ones like Kevin Hart.
Yeah.
He comes out on Netflix once in a while, and me and my
Mhm.
husband just
Yeah, he's
all the way
amazing.
through. Yeah, he
He's
gets us.
amazing. Yeah, I mean, we've definitely worked with comedians that are well known. I tend to really like working with comedians that are younger because they're right. They don't have agents. They're not like constantly thinking about like how they come across. And we haven't worked with Kevin Hart, but like if you're a Kevin Hart, you just go like, okay, here's what you need to do, and he just does it. Whereas younger comedians are like, whatever you need, like let's play, let's try,
Yeah, they're
let's.
more moldable as well. I think there's
Yeah,
definitely
that's
more
right.
potential, and
That's right.
maybe they're more hungry. I think that's what I get from like
They're
yeah.
certainly hungrier. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So we talked about what's working really well in the agency. Do you think there's anything that's challenging or frustrating specifically about agency growth?
What has been, I think, the most challenging for us is we are competing with the content creators or the influencers. So a lot of times we have to talk people away from that. So they're like, "Oh, so you guys just do like funny stuff with influencer?" No. Or you just like work with content? No. We're an agency that comes up with funny ideas, and comedians happen to be our creative talent, our creative ideators. So I think that's been tough because even a lot of brands want to still stay in the world of, okay, so if you're not this and you're not this, then then should we even try it? So I
Yeah.
think there's a certain amount of fear that's out
Mm,
there.
mm.
especially when you're talking about money.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's like we discussed before, it's just putting that educational awareness out there. What is it exactly you do? Because yeah, I haven't spoken to somebody specifically in this. I mean, it's a very unique positioning for sure. Also puts you in a little bit of disadvantage because businesses, like you just said, they're like, what do you do then?
Yeah. So a lot of times we'll try, like a brand will say, like, we have a little bit of money, let's try something and see how it goes. And generally it goes well. So, we've been fortunate.
Yeah, sometimes just getting that foot into the door. And then, like you say, it must be like huge budgets that you're working with. And suddenly, for them to invest with somebody first time they're working with you, there is that fear.
It's funny you say that because I think huge budgets to us are very different than huge budgets to like an ad agency, right? So like we're not. I mean, I've worked on when I was in worked in agency, like there were budgets we had like 1 million, 2 million to shoot a spot, right? To shoot something, to get a talent, to get all these things. Like you're talking about 1 million different people that you have to pay to create something. We're certainly not at that scale. That'd be awesome, but we're not at that scale because like we're really in this world of let's just make some funny stuff that A doesn't kill your brand and B gets you attention in a different way. So, I think it's also the life cycle of how brands budget, right? They're thinking about a year out. So can we get in the right place to
Timing's
affect change?
everything. So, in terms of new clients, you said obviously it's very important day to day to focus on this, even for future work. So, what sort of channels is working best for the agency right now, would you say?
So it's a lot of it's relationships, like people that I've known or people that I've worked with, from agency life. And interestingly enough, we have a pretty successful email outreach. It's
Nice.
funny. So, I mean, I get like new business, not new business. I get like pitched all the time, like, these long rambling emails like can show you 5 meetings by the end of the month and blah, 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 blah. And just long, 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 long. And nobody really thinks about anybody's time or attention. And so like nobody's waiting for those emails to come in. And, like I'm not sitting there going, oh my God, I can't wait to get like a 7 paragraph email about your CRM. But we tend to just send like 2 sentences.
Wow. But they got to
Hey,
be powerful, I suspect.
and not even. I mean, it's like, hey, we have 500 comics we work with. Love to make some content for you guys. Like, we've had success with this brand, this brand. Like, let's talk. That's it. And we were talking to a client we're hopefully going to start working with soon. Who's the CEO of a company. He goes, I get pitched all day, every day, emails. I never respond. You guys sent me this, and it was so simple that I thought it was junk. And so I sent it to a guy that works for me. I was like, see if these guys are real. And he was like, yeah, they're real. So they actually spent time figuring out if we're
Mm,
real or not.
wow.
And which, I mean, who knows how long that took? Like 15, we get 15, 20 minutes of somebody's time because they're trying to figure out if we actually are real or not.
Wow. So they already
So
invested with their time.
yeah, he's like, I spent so much time with you guys. I feel like I already know you because I didn't even talk to you yet. So that's been a really interesting way of us talking is like, and then when you think about CMOs of like big corporations that are getting pitched constantly, and here comes these guys who send an email with like 2 sentences. They're like, this, I don't even know what this is. Let's talk.
Yeah. You know what?
Yeah.
There's no jargon. There's no beating around the bush. I think you just go straight to the point.
No,
This is what I'm here for. I'm not here to waste your time. Are you interested
no,
or not?
that's it. And if I said to somebody like, hey, we have this agency where we work with comedians, we're really funny. And then I continue to talk to you for 7, 8 more paragraphs, like you're going to be like, they probably suck.
Yeah. Yeah. Because it's all about me, right? You want
That's
to
it.
make it about them.
That's it. Absolutely. Yeah.
This is very interesting because I've spoken to a lot of agency owners, and most of the time, the popular answer is cold email doesn't work.
Maybe that's why it works for us because we're trying it a different way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It still works for other people. So there must be strategies or ways to connect with your audience at the same time.
I think we just sort of were like, what do we hate getting?
Aha.
And
Yeah.
what would we rather have?
Mm.
And then you go, okay, cool. Because as a former comedian, as former advertising person, you're like, yeah, to your point, it's all about the audience. respect their time and just say like, hey, this would be cool. We should talk. You would like it. And then, I don't know, it's worked.
Do you also sometimes take it in like a humorous approach on emails too?
Yeah. Have to.
I
Yeah.
found sometimes business owners love that because, like you say, just a few moments of their day that just brings their mood up. You
Yeah.
get interesting responses from those as well.
I worked in house at a brand, and the things that our CMO dealt with on a day-to-day basis was insane, right? Like the website goes down, or like, my God, somebody wrote a terrible article about it. Like the things they're dealing with it doesn't seem like a fun time, right? To be a CMO. Like it's not, you just so much pressure. So I think for us to go like, okay, cool. This will be, even if nothing happens, like you'll have fun for a half an hour to talk to us.
Yeah.
So it's been cool.
And in terms of pipelines and new clients, how are you with I mean, are you utilizing personal brands and content as well? Because I mean, sometimes it tends to bring like inbound leads, like people that
Yeah.
look for you and find you.
It's really, yeah, we could probably do a lot more on the feeds. We tend to write stuff on LinkedIn, or we'll post things, or we'll share things. And it's really been a long process of us just talking about what we do. And I think LinkedIn is the right place for us. I just do. And it's weird that maybe that isn't the right place for us. But again, in a world where everybody's talking about like, I've lost my job, the industry's this, blah, 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 blah. And you sort of come through and go like, hey, what do you think's fun? Like, what makes you laugh? And suddenly it kind of stops people. So that's been great for us. So when connections that I talk to, they go like, oh, I saw you on LinkedIn, or I saw you post a thing. So I like them to be a little bit pre-sold before we get on the phone.
Or at least aware of what is it that
At
you
least
do.
aware. Yeah, that's right.
And talking about AI and automation, as it's everywhere, are you utilizing any tools to become more efficient, or are you still trying to keep it pretty manual?
Yeah, a lot of it's really manual. I think what we do is like, because we're sort of like meeting people all day, we'll use AI to like take notes for us, right? Or, here's a bunch of things we're working on, like what could we do better with this particular client, or here's the metrics on this particular thing, like what could we do with those? So like just using AI is more like an analyst than another employee that we have. Right. So I think when people talk about like AI is going to be the death of advertiser, whatever it is, like it's a tool. It's like Photoshop. It's like anything. It's just like you still need smart people to input. You still need ideas. You still need, like, I don't know if you've ever asked AI to make you laugh. It's not,
It's not
it's
great. I was just gonna say this
no,
because
it's
it
terrible.
can't connect with human emotions, and I feel like in comedy you sort of have to like a
Yeah.
point, and obviously there's
Yeah.
many ways, as you may know.
Yeah.
So, in terms of the comedians and businesses, is there a system that sort of connects the talent for you, like matches it up?
So we tend to know, and that's another way that we'll probably use AI is like, we've been talking about using AI to kind of aggregate all the comedians we have and really make it much more robust in terms of, is this the right comedian with this brand to bring this idea to life? Generally, the way that we do it is it's very much like we know them. We just know them. Like we have relationships with a lot of comedians. And so like, brand X will come in and I'm immediately like, oh my God, we got to talk to so and so because like they
Yeah.
would be amazing at this. Or this one literally just reached out and was like, hey, what are you guys working on? Like, can I help? So it's for us, it's about, yeah, the relationships we have and knowing,
That's really good.
yeah,
Yeah, the only sort of bottleneck I see, it's everything's here, right? If
that's
you
right.
sort of
Yeah,
like bring on more team, how do you like transfer that?
that's it. Yeah. I mean, we'll probably, if we bring on another person, it'll probably be a comedian.
So, David, in terms of growth for the
Yeah.
agency, what is
Yeah.
your plan for 2026?
I mean, I have this idea that, um, for 2026, I think we want to sort of like probably 4 or 5x what we've done just from a money perspective. And from a long-term vision perspective, we were talking about this the other day. Like, I just want to be the place that sells laughter. So when people think about like, oh, we just want to be people like, let's talk to those guys. Like they, if you think about it from like uh, a concrete business, like a place you could walk into. Imagine you walk into a place and I know that what I'm going to get out of it is just humor after that I can use to sell something. That's it. And selfishly, I just want to keep laughing.
Yeah.
Like I want to end the year laughing. Like I really want to have a good time this
Yeah.
year and continue to grow that way.
That's great.
Yeah.
So for this 4 to 5x growth, if you had a magic wand or suddenly a new AI tool comes out that could solve one bottleneck that would help you to reach that goal faster,
Mm.
what would it be?
Yeah, I really think that it is people understanding and trusting in the power of humor. Like clients really trusting in the power of humor and knowing like there's no better way to get somebody to pay attention and lean in than to make them laugh.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if the AI tool could wipe their brains and
That's
replace it
scary.
with right, but replace well, it probably will at some point.
Well,
But replace that marketing money head with like, oh, let's just make people laugh, then we're gold.
yeah. And I think it's like you said, more and more businesses and people are becoming aware. It's like I attract naturally to comedy ads as well. And
Yeah,
I'm like, wow, the angle they took there is incredible. Because it takes a creativity of some sort,
that's
like a
right.
new sort of creativity to
Yeah.
position it in that light.
And look, I've certainly been guilty in my career of making ads that are trying to elicit an emotion that's not humor, right? Like you watch something, oh my God, it's a dog and a horse and they're running together in a field. And you're like, my God, it's for a beer, right? I'm certainly guilty of that, but it's not earned in an honest way. I think where we really want to play and the world we want to play in is like, we're speaking about a brand in a really authentic way that is fun and funny. There's certainly big brands that are multi-million-dollar brands that understand that and are just like killing it. I mean, Liquid Death, everybody talks about Liquid Death. Like Liquid Death is a great example. It's just like everything they do is entertainment and it's fun and it's funny. So, and it's water, right?
Oh, really? Sorry, I'm not aware of the brand, so I'll probably be
Okay.
checking them out after this
Okay.
podcast.
Yeah.
So David, if anyone's trying to find out more about your services or just connect with you, where should they look? Where can I find out more information?
So we're brandupcomedy.com. Very simple email. I'm David at brandupcomedy.com. Or random, if you just want to say, send a general email, it's hi at brandupcomedy.com.
Mhm.
And
Awesome.
we're on
Thank you so much.
Instagram, we're on LinkedIn, we're on all the things. So
Yeah.
check it out.
I'll make sure all the links are dropped below so people can
Cool.
connect with you easily.
Okay.
Thank you so much for sharing all this value. I appreciate you making the time.
Thanks for talking. Appreciate it.
And for anyone tuning in, if you enjoyed the episode, please like and subscribe. And let me know down below in the comments your favorite takeaway from David.